So here with us we have Jan Bors, who has been the head of delegation of the Czech Republic for the past 4 festivals. He started in 2016 with Gabriela Gunchikova with AS10, and he was the head of delegation until 2019 with friend of a friend of Lake Malawi. So what happened to you? What are you doing now, Jan?
Yeah, right. I'm doing well now. I'm in quarantine, of course, like probably most of us. But I'm directing for a news channel in here, so I'm actually covering the situation each 2 weeks. So now I'm 2 weeks in like quarantine mode, and until next week when I start again of filming like lots of interviews with people who are talking about the quarantine from many specialties, from the I don't know, vaccinologist to whoever else. And so I'm definitely not bored. I'm quite lucky I have a job, so that's quite good in this situation.
So you this new job that you're doing right now had anything to do with the decision for you to change and to step back from the head of delegation this year?
No, not really. Well, the situation I step back is very different, but I just well maybe we'll discuss it later. My thing was I just wanted to go freelance. I just wanted to be dependable just on myself for just see what kind of different opportunities will come, and they're just going just really somehow accidentally or somehow not accidentally. So this is just one of my jobs right now.
Mhm.
But of course, because of the quarantine, some others were cancelled or postponed. So few of them were international. So that was something I really wanted to do, and I'm quite happy that I got some such opportunities, which definitely is as well because of Eurovision.
Okay, so let's start with your Eurovision journey. You didn't join the Czech Republic in 2015 when they came back from 2009, which was the last participation in the few years that the Czech Republic made their debut. What do you remember about those 3 years, if you remember anything? Because it was Maladama from Kabat the
Uh-huh.
first year. The second year is Teresa
Yeah,
with
Teresa Kendlova. Yeah.
yeah, and the last one was maybe the most polemical one because Gypsy CC was not as popular as anyone
No.
would like.
Those 3 years I really like. Honestly, I never seen Eurovision before 2015, or maybe I saw it, but it wasn't. It's just still a little bit pink in here. So even for me, and in 2000, what was it? The first year, 2007. It's always like 13 years ago. I was 20, and I just didn't care about it. I didn't even know that time that I will be working in television. So I really didn't care. And Eurovision wasn't here anything very special, or actually it was nothing in here. It's still struggling a bit, but we'll talk about it later probably. But the thing is that those 3 years, that was something we were struggling to say that this is something we're really a bit of embarrassed that happened like this, because it wasn't for us as we were taking the job from 2016 or maybe even 2015 team. There was something we were really struggle to tell others, other artists, other producers, other professionals that this is not what is Eurovision right now, what we want to do in Eurovision, especially. And it was something which didn't do a good brand name in here as well, because like everybody was just making fun of it for all three things happened, because like Kabat is super popular in here,
Hmm.
but everyone just knows it's just a local thing. It's a huge local thing, huge, like really huge, but it's just like the pop rock, so it's not like not nothing you want to show the world that you're doing such music. So that was the thing. But for me, it was nothing actually. I was just starting to struggle, and that it happened in 2016 or even 2015. Later, 2015, like a fall something. So yeah, yeah. That was just the situation. This is just the history. So kind of I know a few people. I know Gypsy says that's great. He's an awesome person, but I just think that the way they threatened the Eurovision Because I'm pretty sure they didn't know what actually it is, what it means. I mean, especially in 2007 to 2009, it just meant something else. It was a different contest than what we have now, I think, even in the quality of music. So they were just doing that. They must be a much bizarre to be successful. That they just to think about it that it was just right. It was just not right. Well, I don't like those 3 years.
Those 3 years were really different to now, to the actual participation of the Czech Republic after the break. You weren't during 2015. You said it before. You joined in 2016. But how was what made you the decision to join the delegation back in 2016?
So it wasn't my decision. It was of course my decision, but it wasn't my decision to do it, because like there was a different team. But my boss actually, he asked me if I want to do it, because like the first thing, I can speak English, and I could speak English of course at the time as well. And for me it was a challenge, because I was a fan in 2015 when I was watching Marta and Vašek with Bárta, and that was my first time I really saw the show actually, because I didn't know why to watch it, because like that, as I told you, it was nothing in here, and we all make fun of it, even we didn't know anything about it. But then I say how much how they feel about it, or what is it, and they weren't satisfied pretty good about the result, and about how to about the approach, and they wanted to change something. So they asked me, because I was the time, it's like 4 or 5 years ago. I was doing the biggest shows in here already, so producing them as a producer, and I think they felt that I can make a difference, or well, to like just bring a new impulse or whatever. And I think I did, of course. But we changed the philosophy a few times in the road, because we wanted to learn what is it about, because like first year for me in Eurovision, it was something like, okay, this is something really even more serious, I thought. And we were learning a lot, so we were of course completely rookies there in this world, but maybe a good impulse for the contest as well.
Yeah, because the first 2 years were you didn't have a lot of national songs, as we told before, because we had a little conversation via Twitter a few days ago, and you said to me that you didn't have much Czech songs in those first years. But first year as head of delegation, 2016, bam, final for the first time for the Czech Republic. And in the second year, you didn't make it. What do you think about those first two experiences? What was the difference between the first one with Gabriela Gunchikova and the second one with Martina?
So I would like, in my perspective from what I have now, there was not much big difference, but there was a big difference, as you said. Like we didn't have songs from what to choose. We didn't know. So, and there was another thoughts, because for me it was his first year in 2016, but for my boss, who were just the head of the project, that like in general, it was second year, and everybody was thinking how to do it and what to do it. And then I just saw part of the teams, they were choosing the songs, and there was exactly nothing good for what no good songs to choose from. Even there were a few, like 5 songs or something. And I was just feeling that this is so weird. So I asked actually and commissioned the boss and the board that we have to choose from abroad, and to bring competition in the Czech Republic as well, because this is not something, because what was the point that we want to go to the final? That if we want to have the future in the contest, if you want to do it properly, even as a brand name, to attract more artists to do it in Czech Republic, we needed to succeed somehow. And it was the only choice, and we were very, very lucky that I just found like many good songs, many good people I didn't know, producers from abroad, and then we found out this I Stand song, and we said, okay, this is it, we can try it. And then we found Gabriela Gunchikova. Even she wasn't the first, or she was one of the first choices. We just wanted to try different singers to do this, and she really wanted it. And as she was working abroad, she thought this is a good chance for her, and she didn't have any prejudgments about the Eurovision, which a lot of artists here had and still have, but less and less. And and that time it wasn't really easy for us, and even and we succeed, which was good for the brand. It was great, but we've chosen a broad song. We found an artist for it, and when we did this artificial connection, and I think that was something that we did it to the finals because the song was great, the vocals was awesome, but something was missing in between. Maybe we weren't even as experienced with the staging, so maybe that time it looked great. In my eyes, that time I was really happy that we did it, but nowadays I see it was just nothing. Like it wasn't that good as it would be now if I have this experience. But that's just the history. That's how it works. But the thing is that the next year we still were lacking of songs from Czech artists, and we were still looking for abroad producers to give us a chance and give it a chance to somebody. And I think we did a lot of mistakes in this process. Like we picked the song, we picked the artist, but as the same as the I Stand song and Gabriela, you never heard of her after. That happened even to Martina. There was like just the artificial connection of just to have a song to represent the country, which was, both songs were great, both artists awesome as well, but for what reason? What's the bigger picture in here? It's nothing. It was just to find a song to the contest, and that's it.
Yeah,
game's over. And that's what we, right after the Kiev, and that's the Kiev was essential for us to say like, okay, this is not the way. Definitely we need to do it differently. We need to talk to people even more, to the artists, to the producers, that this is a chance. Oh my God, 200 million people watch the show. What if they produce their own music, and not made for Eurovision, because that's what we didn't want to, because like that's it's just something they will watch and say, okay, this is gonna work. But what we want from them is like, do your own music, and if it's good and you will continue to do it, this is the best we can mutually do, even to the business, to the market, and even to the contest. So we didn't tell anyone to like, you can't buy a song from the producer from abroad, but you'll find the producer. Or we tell the producer from abroad, all right, you of course can send the songs to us, but you will connect. We will not find an artist for you. You have to do it, and the best way is to write a song with the person, because then it doesn't really matter if it's written abroad or it's written here, but it's the connection, and that's something we want. And that's what we did next 3 years, actually, from 2018 even to 2020, because I was working on it, of course, as well. I left just after the live event was cancelled, but of course the songs were already there. So I was quite sure that it will be all right, because the songs are here. So the job was done quite good, and there was a change of philosophy. But those 2 years were great for us to learn. Even if I just see it right now, like backwards, it wasn't quite fair for Martina Bárta, because we just weren't that good professionals for her. We were just too proud and too sure that we are doing it great, and that we didn't even hear to her too much. She was really like more like the voice of the song than the real person, kind of taken. And I was sorry for her, and I told her many times that I'm sorry, because we just didn't listen to her. We just wanted to tread the Eurovision way, and I think it just wasn't a good way to really think about the Eurovision as the Eurovision, because what's good on Eurovision is that, and what I think what makes Eurovision the great thing is that it's authentic. It's nowadays it's getting, and that's what getting Eurovision better and better each year, kind of. I see sometimes that some countries or the trends, it's just stagnating a bit, But I think that the real success of Eurovision and the next years, if they follow something what we achieved here, it's gonna make Eurovision even greater event and more serious event, more something, because like in here people were laughing at it.
That's true.
And even artists were laughing at it because they didn't know about it, and they saw, Gypsy says it in this ridiculous costume, and they saw Lordi, and they saw, I don't know, even Conchita, whatever. It's just hard to understand, but if they just see the picture and they say, okay, this is the Eurovision, it's just the bizarrest thing, whatever, they don't hear the song, but this song is great, the whole performance great and the whole concept's great, but they just see this and it just doesn't do good favors for the contest for I think for the mainstream people, just to watch it as this is the contest. This is because I think it can be fun. It can be taken seriously, and I think it's like people watch football. They love it, even they know sometimes it's a foul game a bit, but they love it because it's serious, because there's something in it, and I think that can become Eurovision because like 200 million people watching it. Okay, that's great, but I think the limit is somewhere else, and I think that's something the other even bigger countries, even small countries can bring to the contest, make it even bigger by doing it more properly, taking it more seriously, and treating less Eurovisionally.
Yeah, because the situation that you are trying to portray about the Czech Republic public, okay,
yeah,
about the Czech Republic public, it's really similar to the Spanish one, but the bigger difference is Spain has been participating. Next year will be the 60th anniversary of the Spanish participation in Eurovision, but there are no bigger differences because Spain, the artists nowadays don't really want to go to Eurovision. There are a few of them.
It's not just the Spanish problem. It's like, I think big five countries problem. If I just don't count Italy, because they're just working differently, and I think that's actually the thing how most of the countries should do it. But I think it's the problem of the broadcasters, kind of, that they, we, of course, we're a small country, but we didn't have a history. That was just a hate product, and now it's a love brand, kind of. Of course, the viewers still don't appreciate it much. I think it's still a big problem of the broadcaster that they just don't. The thing is that we were the team, a great team, but we were a really, really small one. But we just work hard to talk to everyone we can and spreading the good word about Eurovision. That's what we did. But if you want it to even the viewers to feel that way, you need all TV, all television to spread the signal, to everybody feel like this is our thing right now. This 2 weeks of Eurovision, this is what you want to watch. This is the representation of the country. This is the greatest event. But it's still, we're not there. So it still feels the team likes it. Nowadays artists loves it. I think a lot of them.
Now you have more support for the broadcaster.
Yeah, but the broadcaster still is like a bit ashamed, kind of like, yeah, we're doing it, but we all know how it is. So that has to change as well. And then, and I think that's the work of all broadcasters. And then other thing is really essential. I think it's to be consistent. So have fun philosophy and do it, and be transparent in it, and talk about it, to artists, to the public, and they have to see that if you love the project and you're responsible for the project, they will eventually see that they want to take part of it, because even whatever they think about Eurovision, they of course know that there are 200 million people watching, potential customers. And they want to go in, because even for this experience, because maybe it's one of the lifetime, why not to go there? But they have to feel that the people who are doing Eurovision, they're doing it with love. It's not shady. It's transparent, and they have to trust them, because they're doing it they're just building the platform for them, which can be trusted. And I think the big countries, they just don't do it. And I saw that just the examples in France. I think both of the head of delegations from past year, they were doing a great job. Even they were picking internally, or or even Steven there, he was doing this show.
Yeah.
And I think that was the thing. But I think the broadcaster, they're just not patient, or there are just more, maybe even any other obstacles or personal things or whatever. And everybody knows, if you're successful, everybody knows how to do it better than you, and if you're not, everybody knows even better. So that's always the pressures that maybe your fans don't understand. But to work in the TV and commission, I don't know, songs, live events, or selection processes, it's not that easy thing, because like lots of people, they want to talk to how you should do it or not, and then it can be hard. And I think in bigger country, even a bigger problem. So but I think the point is, if the boards of those broadcasters just give the responsibility to the right people, it can change a contest a lot in a good way, like in general, because like big 5 countries, they can make the difference. They automatically in the finals. They have the great markets of music industry. They own, like Germany, that's awesome market. It's just super modern current music. France, we don't need to talk about France, but they're just specific but awesomely good. Britain, it's the top. It's
top
number
of
1
Europe
in the world.
Yeah.
It's the top thing. And Italy, of course, it's Italian music is awesome, and they're doing it good way. They just leave the market to threaten it their way, and they're just pick the best. That's the thing. And I think those other countries, especially Germany, France, and UK, they just overthinking. They're just threatening it as Eurovision. They're not showing the best of their markets, and that's I think that's the problem. And that was the drama was all about. I think even it was taken for another reason personally, but the point is that they don't need to do it this way, because they just need to talk to their market, and the market will give them the best eventually, because they just have to trust the broadcaster, and they will go there, because it's there's just 200 million people. It's like no one nowadays say no to it. If just they say like it's nothing super special, it's just 200 million people, but we want you to do your work. Your work is to do your music. We don't want something for Eurovision. We want you for Eurovision. We want this thing what you're doing, and the best song, of course, you can deliver. But the thing what you're gonna put on your album, among the other things, and this is gonna be you, still you, no you Eurovision, and you someone else.
Maybe that was the good point about the United Kingdom this year, because maybe it wasn't the perfect song, but it was really a nice opportunity to be a little shift from the recent years. I don't know if you know the song.
Of course, I know everything, man.
Okay, so I
no, of course I'm still like in Eurovision thing. It was my baby in here, so I of course was watching.
You take care in the distance nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and tweeting shit on Twitter. So,
but it was maybe the little shift that the United Kingdom was starting to do, because they decided to make the alliance with BMG. But you talk about Italy, you talk about United Kingdom, you talk about Germany, and you talk about France.
Yeah.
What about Spain?
I think Spain is a very specific market, because I really think that it's impossible to send like English song. But I think that's nice. It's like the rules, even like unwritten rules. I feel that must be Spanish. And actually, I liked even this 2020 song from Blas Canto. Even it was made for Eurovision. It was artificial, kind of. It wasn't the best thing, of course. It was missing some soul, something. But it wasn't bad. I wouldn't say it was bad. It definitely was good. Like German song was great. UK song was great. French, I didn't like the one, but
me neither.
But that Italian one, but of course, let's talk about Spain. The Spain was, the Spain. If you know that you're going, because the Spain is doing something I really like. They're sending something from their own market, something but it's still from their own market, made for Eurovision. But if I just remember last year, Mickey song, I think that was a great song. Mickey, great artist. They just fucked up the staging. I think that's it. That's my opinion about it, because he had everything. He was charismatic. He was youngster. He just got everything, but it was just not threatened well, and that can happen. That's the common mistake. But I think he didn't deserve to, like, all big five countries. They have the pity thing about it, that they're automatically in the finals, which is, well, okay, be there, but you have to be the best. You have to have the song which deserves to be in the final. Just, you have to be sure that if they're in semifinals, you're not worrying about not to go to the finals. And I think that's the problem, that if you're top big five country, you have to deliver the best, like you have to slay all the time, like because you're there. You're that, even I think that's but I liked this. I even liked. I didn't like the 2000. What was it? The Manuel Navarro.
2017.
17. So, but because I knew the history of the song as well, so I didn't feel that's fair, and I didn't even feel this is something which is really good. But even this duet in 2018, it was quite nice. It was really quite nice song. Mickey was great. I think Blast's song was quite nice. Is it enough? I don't think it's enough to reach the top ranks. But I think it's some kind of the way. So I wouldn't be worried. I saw the Junior Eurovision song this year. The staging was perfect. I think that was perfect. But it's not, the staging will be even more perfect if you have a great song, and the song was really good. And I think this can be the way. But the Spanish market is very specific. I think it's more or less non-European. It's more oriented to Latin America because of the Spanish. But they just, if you just find a good combination, and if you just leave market, just do your work. You do your homework. We just have the platform in here, and if you will use it, and you will be successful, because it's so many people watching it, and it will watch it more, even like you see the success of the Salvador Sobral from Portugal. Because even he's doing completely different kind of music, but he became a star.
I was gonna bring the Salvador Sobral name because you told before the Martina Bárta. I did a little research and I saw an interview with ESCAS. I think it was that interview with you, that you told the staging, something was off, and you say, but Salvador Sobral, which was a really close concept, it was really successful. And also Portugal decided to switch the things up a lot, because they were really fuck up. They tried to make really Eurovision thing with the Festival da Canção in the first years of this millennium, but they changed it a lot, and Salvador is really, really a hero there, because Portugal is really low scores all the time for 50 or some years.
And then they sent something really authentic. Yeah, of course they were lucky. The people chose it. That's always the shady part of
the people didn't choose the song because Salvador was the second in the televoting. It was really strange because.
All right, but he won the competition.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So second or first, that's really close to each other. Well, he won it. He won it. So and they were lucky by it, but he was authentic. He was if you just say last 5 years what won the Eurovision, even the heroes. If you pick the heroes, it was a great song. It was just great. You just watch it and you hear it and you like it. You don't need to watch it to like it. And this, Salvador thing was, and with comparison of Martina Bárta, this is a great example of how we fucked it up actually. So he just went there and they just let him be there without the staging. He was just there singing his song, and it was so nicely done by the whole, of course, camera angles, whatever. But it was something that you are there. You just feel the nicest thing, cliche, that you just feel this is good. And with Martina's we just made this. We put her into this eaglet, thing, and we let her walk somewhere, and we just, well, it was just wrong. And if we just maybe let her just sing how she wanted, but for us it wasn't enough. We thought, like, this Eurovision, it's Eurovision. We need to. It must be a show, but it's not about it. Salvador was right. It doesn't need to be. He said your music is not fireworks. I think it doesn't need to be fireworks. I think this is the formula. It can be fireworks like Hungary in 2018, and it was awesome because the staging was following the music and the atmosphere of the band, and this staging of Salvador was following him. It was made for him. And we didn't do the staging for Martina. We did it for ourselves, and it was the biggest mistake.
So in 2018, you switch things up after the Martina Bárta participation.
It was a different story, kind of, but we changed the philosophy. We decided to have a contest in here. It was online contest, and it's still here, but and that's the first this thing is a game changer. To have a contest, it's a big game changer. Even it can go wrong, that you don't pick the best song, you think that the best song, but it's still a competition, and I think the competition is really healthy for the market, for the whole brand to have it. One year can backfire you, but you have to stick in it, because the way is good to have a competition. And maybe you will be smart to choose a better songs to it, or you will motivate the people to write a better song. And what we did, and we were really lucky about Mikolas Josef, because but there were several other good songs in the contest already, because we were working on the change on the brand name in here. So the people were stopped to be shy too much to take part. They wanted to try. They wanted to give it a shot, and that's even getting better and better each year. And we were really lucky of Mikolas, but about his staging, we were really struggling how to do it. We were have it at our noses. We were watching it, but we didn't know. So then we actually really Christer Björkman and his team really helped us. In Portugal, when we were at a delegation meeting, and we were like, we had some concept, but we just feel that something doesn't feel right, and they're just watching and say, like, okay, let's what you're thinking about, there's a great music video, let's go this way. And I was like, okay, you can do it, you can do this atmosphere live. And they said, like, oh, we'll do our best. And we said, all right, let's do it this way. And then we directed the way that we actually did the music video, but in 3 minutes live, which was a great achievement. I still think it was great.
You were the art director of the participation also in 2018, because I know you've been directing the Lake Malawi. You saw the clips of you directing the staging. Also with Mikolas, it was the same process.
So with Mikolas, it was a bit different, because like I wouldn't say that I was art director for the music video, because like first the Eurovision team helped us. And then there was already the music video of Mikolas Josef, which was the art. So that wasn't the art direction, I wouldn't say, but I was the director of it. And then Angie Swoboda was a choreographer, so we just cooperate on it. And even with Mikolas, and I was directing, I was doing this whole work around it. But even Mikolas was a lot involved in it, and it was a great cooperation with Lake Malawi. It was the whole thing was on our shoulders, but this was a different case. Each year was a bit different, but I think that we learned a lot because of Mikolas.
I would like to ask you, because I told you before, it was really strange, or maybe the fans, we thought it was really strange, because you and also the Czech Republic and Sweden in that year had similar target songs, not similar songs per se, because Mikolas was more really like some artists from the United States, but
Yeah.
and Benjamin was more European sleek kind of music. But people think that they try to put them as much away from each other, and some fans thought it was a strategy to benefit Benjamin. I don't like to say it was done
Like you
that
mean
way.
how were there how like the running order in the
Yeah,
program?
yeah. Sorry,
Oh.
you said it perfectly. How did you feel about the running order these past years? Because with the Czech Republic, it hasn't been really good running orders.
Well, I don't think so. You know, like yeah, like actually, yeah, like with Mikolas, we were lucky that he picked the second part of the finals.
Yeah.
Which is I think better because like everybody has the program already on.
Mhm.
I think that's what especially happened with like Malawi, that we were third, and that's just there was I think that happened to us. I was 3 times in the finals.
Yeah.
And like 2 times it happened that we are, I don't know, maybe they doesn't like us, or maybe it's just a like that coincidence, whatever. I think it's very different. It's very different work when you're doing head of delegation. It's very different work when you're doing producer on the running order for the show, because what you care about, what you should care about, and I think what the professionals were care about, that you care about the whole show. You don't care about which song will win. You don't care about which country will go next after each other in this way, like who you like more or less. But you care just about how the whole show will look the best, and that's how you put those little songs like this running order right after each other, just to be the best show possible. And we maybe were unlucky with that, but I wouldn't blame anyone for it, because like even I know that we could do maybe even better work, or maybe the song just didn't just was 11 for a reason, not the first one. Maybe if you just put Salvador Sobral first or second or third, he still win. You never know. So, but I don't really think that this they maybe they put it just this big square like Mikolas and Benjamin because of the vibe of the songs. They just don't want to have 2 similar songs really right after each other, because it was just both really rank of pop music, really similar. Even it wasn't even close similar, but by the genre,
Yeah.
it was really close. So maybe that's it. And both really young guys, kind of similar looking if you're just generalize those things. So maybe so many other reasons. I don't really think there are like really like politics in Europe. I think it's just a good conspiracy, but there's no time for such a thing. Really.
Well, from conspiracy from the fans to maybe too much input from the fans. I don't know if you've been looking for the process of Benny Cristo changing the song,
Of course.
and on and on and on and on and on and on. We also have a common meme on the internet that it was like by this time in 2021, Benny
So
Cristo
the revamp of the revamp of the revamp.
the revamp of the
Nah.
revamp of the revamp. Do you think he was listening too much to the community, that he
Yeah.
lost maybe his vision?
I really, the thing is that, he's the biggest star in here right now. So that's the biggest success to have in the contest. So that's the first thing. That's what we actually showed, that if you just strategy this platform, Eurovision and the national selection quite well, you can have the biggest stars. You can. So, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have the best music. But I think he felt really responsible. I think he didn't even feel to win the contest in like the ESCZ. I think he felt that he's not gonna win it, and then he won it, and he won it like quite well, like 20 points from 22 or something like this, or 22 from 24. I don't remember, but he was first by far, and Kemama, I think, is a really good song. I wouldn't say the best, but really good song. And I think he overtold it, like overthinking it, because he was told like there has to be a revamp, and I think he felt that the song missing something, but I think he didn't feel it really miss, because I think he likes it how it was. And then he felt like, okay, the comments, the reactions are not what I want, not those best how I'm maybe used to, or because as I know Benny, and I don't know him that well, like the of course the delegation nowadays, but I know him quite well to say that he's the champion kind of person, but super kind. He's really like the sweetest person you know, and he just want to do things perfectly. And I think he got lost a bit on this track, and then he went to Africa to revamp it, and then he just find to like something else, and then they combine something what probably doesn't stuck together. But the problem of the first revamp was that the mix was just there's something what I would never allow to send, but for some reason it happened. It can happen, you know, everybody just do mistakes, and then he just got the time to mix it properly, and then just do the right Kimama thing, which is quite good. But I think it's not the revamp. It's just a different song, but it was quite good. But you know, I was too much into it. And I like the first version. That maybe for the new listener, it's something very different. For me, as a kind of fun of the contest, if somebody's doing revamp and do something very different thing, I just couldn't listen. I just couldn't like it that much, because it was something else. Even I understand why he does it. I think he overthink the whole thing. Maybe it doesn't maybe need the revamp at all. But it happened. So whatever.
But may I ask you what was your favorite song from the competition this year?
Well, definitely I can say the wheel poop thing, and then that Barbara Mochova, of course. I think
she's the runner-up of the runner-ups of the runner-ups, because she was the first one.
You know,
in
the problem,
jury
the problem of the problem of the rules of ESC is that we were struggling, and before I left, I wanted to change it as well. Yes, is to give to give more points in the up, not just the first you like, but the second and the third, because like maybe that it will make people to listen to all the songs and not just vote for the somebody who's famous. Of course, the famous person will be always a step in front, and that's the problem of the rule. But that's why the international jury is here to balance it. Yeah, and but sometimes it's just. But if the Barbara's there, I think she's the contender for winning the show, because like when you see her live, when you really see what kind of energy and feeling and charisma is in her voice, and that you know that the song she wrote it by herself, most of it, and that feeling is deeply from her. That something really affects you when you see, and that's something what's definitely the winner thing. That's why I wanted as well the live event and this online contest. It's something that thanks God we have, because it's the competition. It's not that expensive to have it, and it's competition which is most fair how it can be. But to have live, you have more viewers. They have live feelings, and if they see something like, especially like Barbara, probably they will vote for her, because they will just find her out. It's hard to reach people who doesn't care about Eurovision. For people like Barbara, who's unknown in here, but Barbara, the most talented vocalist, or even a singer and artist and songwriter I've met in here.
No. So Barbara maybe faced too much criticism for the Lana Del Rey thing, that everybody compare her to Lana Del Rey, if I may say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but
we were doing the same. So
you were doing the same.
Of course, the first time I heard the song, I think it was in August 2018. I said like give me a contact for this Lana Del Rey girl, of course, because I think the true colors were a lot Lana Del Rey feeling. Mm-hmm. If you hear her live, then you don't have this feeling that much, because she sings much better than Lana Del Rey. But and that's how it is. And but this song, she had this black and white holes this year, or white and black holes. So I think that was something. It was art, but in a good way, in a really, really touching way for me. She didn't win the contest, so I but that was the reason. Especially what I was really writing a lot actually about the contest. That the best thing what can happen to you that you pick 8. That was 7, but before I left, it was 8 great songs, and each deserved to win the contest. And that's the best thing you can do, because then you don't feel bitter for any of it. And even your favorite, my personal favorite, didn't win. Still my favorite won, because I was a fan of all of them. So that was quite good.
Yeah. You told me a few days ago, you said in the Czech Republic, the first thing to have is an international jury, the first. And I told you I don't really like international juries, because sometimes
I understand.
They go to the obvious favorite of the contest.
But you can say it to the like Eurovision fans who are more like much more into it than regular people, what viewers or whoever, and they're maybe not fair as well, or you just don't. But the first thing, we have international jury based on ex-Eurovision singers who went through this contest, and the thing is why we are having them is that we are pretty sure that none of the abroad people who are singers, they're just, and who were through the experience, they just don't know who are they voting for. They don't care if they're voting for a famous person or not, or somebody who they know, because they don't. And that's what, if you have just jury from Czech, or you just have Czech, if you just have Czech voters, they of course and especially in an online contest, they will vote for the person who has most Instagram people, or who have more power over social media to gather those votes. This is actually absolutely okay. This is how it is, and this is everywhere in the world the same. The difference is with this jury that is balancing it, this fame, because they don't care. They just vote for what they like, and that's what we want from them actually. And that's maybe and it was the same as if I'm a jury, and I was many times, I was always voting for something I really would like to see at Eurovision. Sometimes there was something very different than the fans ones, but what I wanted, because I was given the responsibility. So that's the jury point of view, and maybe sometimes it's different, but it's okay. That's how that's how the rules are, and that's good. And we don't need to agree on it.
Yeah, because you were international jury for the UMK Finland with Darude and Sebastian Reymann.
That was fun.
Yeah, and you met there our head of delegation, María Bordas.
Hola, apoyad la venda.
Yeah, here in Spain, she became kind of like a meme.
Oh, sí, estupendo, maravilloso, wonderful, amazing show, yes.
In the perspective of a fan, we all say, this maybe is part of my point, because I don't really like the international juries. We think you have been told what to vote.
All right, I heard it many times. It's never like this. It's like, you're like, for doing it, you're just risking your own how's it called, reputation. It's like, as a professional, I wouldn't like to work with the person who just told me who to vote for. It's like, because then it's a job, but it's not a job. It's just they want you there because they trust your judgment. And with the Finland, it was really funny, because I was listening. It was 3 or 4 songs. I don't remember that. 3, I think.
3.
I was listening to them on MP3 on Spotify. I was just listening them, and I liked different songs. I don't remember the name right now, but I really liked it more than what I voted for. But I voted for the song which was much better live, and that was my job to say, okay, maybe Sebastian wasn't the best vocalist. I didn't know that, because of course on the Spotify everything sounds good. But live, I voted for I Loved Live. and that was it. I remember in 2018 I was on Malta. When they were doing their show. Now they're doing X Factor, I think, but they were doing like this Eurovision song contest in Malta, and I was one of the juries. I did some kind of really stupid thing in the live events, talking when I shouldn't or something like this. It was embarrassing a bit. I embarrassed myself. I remember that.
And I think it's no taboo that my 12 points go to Christabel.
But it's just fun. But I really like the song from some guy who was with the hat, and he was like his really current song, but I didn't like it live. And it didn't really work, probably even when he was under pressure. And as a producer, you think how the person would struggle in front of 200 million people and the whole of another 10K, and you need a person who just feels good in the situation as well. So that's all what's in your head, and you definitely don't have a time for, I don't. Maybe there are some countries who are just bribing people. Maybe it's happening, but it never happened to me, and I didn't feel the way that somebody just doing it, and the Sweden do it in the way that you're saying points in Melody Festival, but there are under 5 people who are giving points from your country, so it's even more than like 8 or 7 people. It's another 5 after each other. So it's more people you have in a jury. It's good. It's not good to have a lot of people talking what songs you have to pick, because then you have to believe your own judgment if you're responsible, of course. But I like those are really nice conspiracies, but they're just bullshit,
Now we are taking the conspiracy towers and breaking down one by one. I will like to say, because I didn't want to have the conversation about the infamous feud between you and Symphonix and Ben, and so at the beginning of the conversation, because I thought it wasn't necessary. But I have to ask you, because at this point, you told before, you said to the producers of different songs from abroad, we are not gonna make the mix for you of the singer. We are not gonna find you a singer for the song. And I will start from this point about this thing. Did you have the same composers that every country has offering songs to you in the last competitions?
So we had with Martina, I think definitely, of course, because like for Iceland, for sure, Christian and Sarah, they probably wrote different songs. Maybe they didn't succeed in some competitions, but they did. In 2017, we worked with Greg Watts, who's actually doing the same as Boris doing, or the similar thing, but we didn't have other choice. And in 2018 competition for ASCZ, it was 2018, of course. It was January, but we had this song in 2017, of course, in the fall. And it was as well one of, I think, Debbie's songs was produced by Greg as well, but they were working together before, so it was very different thing. Because like the point of it, of all this ridiculous thing, was that you don't need to be harsh on EBU, because EBU doesn't care about how the countries pick the songs. It's their own thing, how they're doing. If they're risking it this way, it's good, but even if you're a songwriter, I think you're not the last one to comment. Everybody can comment whatever, but just making it discourse this way, it's definitely not fair, because like your song is live, and if you just did it just for Eurovision, and whoever it is, it wasn't for the Symphonics, I don't care, it was just in general, because like it could say whoever else. I think there were many other composers who are feeling the same way as Boris or as Greg. But it's not the problem of them as well. It's the problem of the countries. They were picking the songs. They were just doing the job. So that's why I feel it was unnecessary to have take it such a way. But but I still think I didn't change my mind in this, that it's, you know, I know most of them, they're just, and I been on some I was in a few juries where the same song appeared, you know, so I wouldn't tell you which one, but it was there, and it won in some country after all, but it wasn't the first choice of, you know, you just have the song and you're just sent it like all the countries or more countries. It was the example of all of them, and just they were lucky that some country just picked the song and they just found the artist for it. But it wasn't written with the artist, the particular artist for his new album, or it was just made for Eurovision, which is okay. It's good. But what I'm asking, is it good for Eurovision? I don't think so. I think that it's just the lazy work of the broadcasters to do it this way. It's a great for the songwriters, and I think the songwriters and international songwriters or the country songwriters, I think they all have to should cooperate to bring better music. But they have to, just the purpose shouldn't be Eurovision, because they're then do the Eurovision songs, and that's what doing the wrong name of the contest as well. Even for us to like just tell like, oh, let me just make me the song for Eurovision. And we actually this year or the last year we had the casting for 2020 season. There was one girl, great voice, great person, but she was unexperienced. She just came there and sang the song. And I just felt like, okay, what's the song about? And she said, because she didn't know that I will react the way. She said like, they want me to tell you this is the great song for Eurovision. And I said like, but first of all, we don't seek such song. It's good that you feel that way, but I don't. But they're just used to they're just used to be a voice of their work. And I think and that's actually the Germany songs, same thing. That the story of the song has nothing to do with the band in general. They're just you can find a way always. We did it in 2017, and the song is good. But the thing is that doesn't the Germany market have much better songs? Of course they have. And that's the thing, that you have much better songs somewhere, but you buy the song in the supermarket, even a good one. But you just I don't feel that's the way, and I don't feel that you as the songwriter or even the producer, whoever, you should blame somebody to have such a decision, which is absolutely logical. Even it's exceptionally sad. It's horrible, but it was the best from the horrible. And as you see now in Spain, like this is not a good situation for having contests. Will you, if you have a responsibility, will you say yes, and then you just say like, okay, we have the completely the same contest? It can't happen. Just just draw a line, and that's it. That's just happened. That's the shame for all of us. Fans, producers, songwriters, singers, showmakers, everybody lost jobs, but especially songwriters, they are lucky because they had their songs live. So the songs, that's the point. If you just do something just for Eurovision and your Eurovision is accidentally cancelled, you lost the thing. But why are you doing just music just for the contest? What's the contest super specific about the music? Doesn't the last winners shown that that something really on Eurovision win? Everything what won past years was not like what you say Eurovision.
Maybe since Heroes, because Heroes may be found.
But what was before?
Yeah,
you know, they just show the trend.
Yeah,
and then a lot of them like that because that's what you're doing when you're doing Eurovision songs. You're watching the past and you just watch the pattern, what worked.
Maybe the better example may be Cyprus. After Fuego, they decided to make kind of the same song.
Yeah, I think the same. Yeah, because that was something that worked. Maybe it's gonna work again, but it doesn't work like this, I think. And even if it works, I still feel that it's not what you should do. How you should treat the content. I think the true champions, they should find. As I just wrote the article, and I just wrote there that's the biggest prize. It's not to win the Eurovision. It's that more people, more artists, more songwriters are from your own country, where they didn't, or in Spain, like when more Spanish artists they just want to go to Eurovision, that's the winning. That's how you win, because that's what you do as a public broadcaster. You're supporting your artist and you're just showing the best you can to the Europe, and they decide what's the best. But that's what you should. That's the winning prize for me. That's what we wanted to achieve, and that what I want. I really would like the other countries want to achieve that, because they can. Because everybody told me a few years ago there's no one talented in Czech Republic. It's what we have here that's the best. It wasn't true. It wasn't true, because of course there are talented people each year and they're doing songs, but you just don't know about them. And bigger market, more those people. You know, so that's what I'm criticizing. That's my critique about. If somebody just take it personal, I don't really care, because I really feel they're just protecting their jobs, which is quite good, and they're doing good jobs. But I really think that the broadcaster, they should see what they're hiring and why are they doing it. What's the reason? And maybe they're not do the same thing next time. Maybe they will, but it's up to them completely. But I think it's not good for Eurovision.
Last thing I would like to address in the conversation, because we've been here for a lot of time.
Yeah. I don't know even for how long.
Maybe an hour. But I would like to ask you about the twisted situation, because I will send this to you. The thing that we think about the polemic about between you, symphonics, and so on.
Yeah.
Because we think that things get a little twisted when they try to make a drama. Because we think it was really taken as a drama, and I don't know if this is part of the power that some media got over the Eurovision fandom, and I don't know what is your perspective about this. Not trying to be shady. Not trying to be shady.
Yeah. The first thing I've like, in all due respect to all the like Eurovision fan-based media, they're just a drop in the water, because like it's even they're huge and there are a lot of people watching it. If you're just in the perspective of like no one in here in Czech Republic knows about this drama, especially in Germany. They don't care about such a thing. You know, no one cares about me. No one cares about Boris. No one cares. Like Eurovision was done and that's it for media in general. Of course, for the fan-based media, no. But you know, they made it. I think it was a part of like defending their own job thing, because what I was criticizing is just, you know, this year's over, the songs are out already. It's a shame, but it's how it is. And next year, next songs, like that's not a big problem. That as a producer, I want to even see other people give a chance to other people, or the same person, because like nobody said that the same person shouldn't sing it. Which I would say, especially when you're doing internal, that's the first thing I would do. I would ask the singer or the artist if they want to cooperate with us again. Of course, if you have like Melody Festival and whatever, which is much bigger or traditional, you can't do it. You can invite the person, but that's how it is. That's, you know, this is a situation is hopefully will never happen again. Hopefully, but that's how it is. But you know, I think it just get even more personal, because I was not a part of the German team, but I was asked as well to give my opinion about it, if I say it like this, about the staging and something like this. And I was of course in big talks with Germany teams when I left the Czech TV as well. And so they, of course, especially German team of Eurovision, they especially very well know my way and my know-how of how I would, if I'm them, if I have their responsibility, how I will treat the Eurovision there. And it's very different how they're doing it now, but it's not a critique, it's how they're doing. And what I really love, they're doing with great passion. They really want to succeed. Thomas Strawberry, he really wants to do it quite well, but I think they're struggling how to do it. Maybe too much people have different opinions. I believe my opinion, I've shared with them, and that's all. So well, you know, the drama happened. It was really unnecessary from all sides. But it was, you know, nothing, no one's got hurt. No one knows about it nowadays anyway. So it's just old news. No one cares. And nothing's going to change anyway, I think. Maybe they will allow, maybe it's going to happen that they will allow the songs from this year to participate next year. But if I'm an artist, I don't want to go with this old song. It's just got old. You know why? And that's the thing. Why it's a shady part of Eurovision, because then when artists just say that, he just don't have other songs in mind. That's just doing it for Eurovision, and I think that's sad. Actually, I think it's quite a sad thing. But there are many others which will do the new things and maybe even better things, but different. Every Eurovision is different.
So that was it. I want to thank you so much for the interview, because we spent a really nice hour talking to each other. And I will ask you, are you gonna play, or are you playing a lot of video games in the quarantine, or no? Because when I did the research, I found that you had like a little YouTube channel where you put gameplays and so.
But not much. But you know, my first job, or I'm still doing it, is like part-time, or I'm reviewing video games. I was doing it for like 20 years already, and of course I'm playing it. So for me, quarantine. It's still like kind of like, I have more time for playing my PlayStation, and I'm doing it, of course, because I love it. That's my passion. This Eurovision, and especially this like television work, I really fell in love in it. So but I'm playing a lot of games. You're right. So many thanks for having me. It was quite a nice interview, and wish you good luck with your new websites, and be fun of Czech Republics next year.
I hope so. Let's see if they pick a nice song. I've been a fan of the Czech Republic in the past contest, not because of the interview, but it's my real vision about it. And thanks a lot.
Muchas gracias.
Nice side. Bien dicho.
Adiós.